How we going, Supercar fans? Back again doing another episode for you guys, and yay, it's finally here. Finally doing another recap, thank God. It's been a long time. It's been, wow, nearly over a year. Yeah, it'd be close to a year, maybe. So, it's good to be back, and it's good to finally be able to get away with a few things that I couldn't get away with last time, with all the stuff that happened with the channel and whatever else. But happy to announce that we're back and we're actually got a recap for you guys today. So yippee! So yeah, some big changes happening, and which is really good. Yeah, it's alright. So this weekend, Darwin Triple Crown. It was a really good weekend. Now, there was a possible threat of rain on Saturday, which I don't think it's ever rained up there at Darwin. Obviously, when the race is on, it's usually mid-June or something that happens when the races are run up at Darwin. But yeah, being August, it looked very promising. I don't know why. It was like 31 degrees or some stuff up there throughout the whole week, so it was fairly warm and whatever. But yeah, on the Saturday, there was some menacing clouds just to the north of where they were, and it looked like it was going to rain for a while, but it thankfully didn't, which would have been quite interesting because it would have been really cool to see what it would have been like to rain up at Darwin. They never ever have to take wet tyres up there, obviously, but yeah. And it was really good to see that the grass was very green up there this year. Like I said, they usually do it in like June or something. It's sort of the midway kind of part of the year. And usually the grass is burnt out and brown and horrible looking, and if a car goes on there, and sometimes the grass catches fire and whatever else. But surprisingly, it was very green. So it looks like Darwin's had some rain over the last few months, which is good. And I think I could say the same with everywhere, really. Everywhere's had plenty of rain. I know down here in Newcastle we had like 420 mils of rain in like 2 weeks, so it's crazy. It's very crazy. So yeah, it's been very good. But this weekend, obviously the return of Supercars, as well as that. For the next 3 weeks, we'll have Supercars action. So it's going to be good. Recap every week. This is going to be awesome. Plus, as well, a new feature will be the track. So yeah, at the start of the event, or at the start of each session or whatever, they will have like the graphic up on how fast they take corners and like the whole track map and whatever else. That will be now incorporated into the recaps as well, with me explaining stuff throughout the track map and whatever else. Bathurst should be fun. That's going to be interesting. Well, I know all too well about Bathurst as well, so which will be very good. But guys, let's hit into the recap. And before we do that, let's head over to the track map. So guys, here we are at Hidden Valley at Darwin. This weekend was an absolutely awesome race. It was fantastic overall. This is the track map. This is new to the recaps now at turn 1 and turn 2 at 190 kilometers an hour. Turn 3, Lee Holsworth had a bit of controversy there a couple of years ago, hitting the wall and did some serious damage to himself. Turn 5, just before the valley at 215 kilometers an hour approach, and up turn 6, the slowest corner on the track. Down now to turn 7 and turn 8 and turn 9 and turn 10. That's a bit of a mouthful. Fastest corners on the track. Turn 10. There's a bit of new surfacing there, I reckon, there this year, but still getting a lot of drivers caught out. Especially at turn 11 and turn 12, there's a new curb there. And then heading now down to turn 13, turn 14, last corner on the circuit, as the drivers hit full throttle in 6th gear and reach up to 265 kilometers an hour. New feature. Awesome. Recaps have become a thing now, and it's going to be very good to incorporate that now into the recaps. But in saying that, guys, race 13. Well, typically race what 6 of the year, maybe, I don't know. What we had, they did Adelaide. I'm pretty sure they did Adelaide. Yeah, Then they were going to do the Melbourne Grand Prix, which didn't end up happening. And then they did 2 consecutive weeks at Sydney Motorsport Park. So yeah, it feels like they've only raced like 5 times this year. But surprisingly, race 13, it was very, very quick already. And at the halfway, oh well, this really isn't even the halfway. This is still the start of the season, really. But we've seen a lot of the front runners, obviously at the front, and a lot of midfielders at the front as well. And then you had SVG, Shea Van Gisbergen in the midfield. It was a very, very, very interesting weekend. Actually, it was had a lot of front runners at the front, and you had a lot of front runners at the back, and then a lot of back runners at the front, and midfield sort of spread out everywhere. So it was quite interesting. It was really, really good. So as we start off, lap 1 of race 13, heading up to the hairpin section, Van Gizzy ended up having contact with Nick Percat, which sent Todd Hazelwood around and pretty much sort of out of the race. His rear left door looked like it had been attacked by a shark or something. It was so crazy. It was absolutely insane. And another thing as well, there was 2 tyre compounds this weekend. You had the hard and soft tyre. So strategy and all that stuff was a big thing. So a lot of the soft tyre runners were making their way to the front, obviously. If you're in the mid-pack or whatever else, you were guaranteed to be at the front by the time your pit stop was happening. Then we had all the hard tyre runners just sort of drifting back. People like Scott McLaughlin, who are quick regardless, was sort of like in the like 5 to 10 position, and then like same as Whincup, Van Gisbergen, and whatever else. So it was all those fast runners were really, really good. But then you got like guys like Jack LeBrock and Holsworth and who else can we throw in there? Rick Kelly and all those guys. Even though they're on hard tyres, they were struggling as well. So, but grip was absolutely amazing. Like they were saying that soft tyre compounds you could run pretty much halfway, if not more, into the race, and then they'd jump on the hard tyre, because it was like a Formula 1 format kind of thing. So you'd have to start on your hards roughly, or whatever. You start on your hards, and then you'd drive into your softs, or vice versa, driving on the softs and then go into your hards. So kind of with all the stuff going on at the moment, this is kind of like a muck around year, I reckon. It's just like to test a few things maybe for upcoming years and whatever else. I know that they've done the hard and soft compound tyres before, but considering that this is kind of like I said, a muck around year, the drivers are taking it seriously, obviously, but it's sort of like, all right, let's try and incorporate this into this weekend and that into this weekend. Like, they're also thinking about running Darwin this in a couple of weeks or whatever as a nighttime race. So whether or not that happens or not, I don't know. But, it's just ideas and stuff that they're throwing around and whatever else. Because I think at Sydney Motorsport Park, they were running the hard compound tyres the whole way through. So quite interesting stuff. So anyway, back into the race now, guys. As I was saying, the tyre compounds are a lot, are just sort of like something that they're going to be working with for the next couple of rounds or whatever. But who knows? Let's see what happens with all that. It does throw a bit of excitement into the races. It makes all the midfield runners and even back markers maybe even have contention for the race and possibly even podiums and whatever else. So anyway, back into the race, guys. We had Rick Kelly and Jack LeBrock make contact at turn 10. I've got it down as turn 9 here, but it's actually turn 10, which resulted in awkward contact for Jake Kostecki as Rick Kelly joined onto the circuit. So Kelly kind of, Jack LeBrock and Kelly were fighting for position. It's not really a side-by-side section through 7, 8, 9 and 10, and possibly even to 11 and 12. So once Jack, well, not really, but both of them were sort of fighting position. Kelly went wide, gone off the circuit, rejoined, and then heading down into turn 10, I'm pretty sure, there was contact with Jake Kostecki, which led to Rick Kelly having drive-through penalty, obviously, and the safety car came out. So, and then most of the drivers came in. It was actually quite crazy because everybody came in. So there was double stacking stuff happening and whatever else. And in the pit stop, we had Jamie Whincup might have been done for an unsafe release, which didn't end up happening because of Fabian Coulthard had stopped. Now I've got this written down. This is something that I was meaning to bring up, or wanted to bring up in this race. So with the double stacking stuff and whatever else, and you know the lane not being so big and whatever else, so drivers have to stop to let their teammate either continue on their pit stop and then go, so then they can go in the pit stop. I had a real issue with Fabian stopping in the fast lane. Now, I don't know who was behind him, but someone was definitely behind him. As Whincup came out, Fabs was sort of right there. This is the only reason why Whincup didn't get done for an unsafe release. So Fabian had stopped in the fast lane and waited for Scotty to go. And then once Scotty left, Jamie followed suit, and then Fabian came in. Now, I think there was like 2 or possibly even 3 cars behind Fabian waiting to get through. Now, I was thinking that, if that's the case, that should be maybe a penalty or something for Fabs for holding up the pit lane. I don't know what the rule actually states for that, but I'm pretty sure you can't hold up cars in the fast lane. I'm not too sure, so make sure you leave your comments down on that situation, because I've never seen that happen before. Like, usually you've got your fast lane and then there's like that little painted island thing, and then you've got your pit stall. Well, Fabs was pretty much on the fast lane, so he didn't even attempt to get into that little island section and then into the pit stop. He just pretty much right on there. Now, obviously, being Darwin, very small pit stop, very small pit lane. It's probably like the width of a 2-way road, pretty much, one way in, one way out kind of thing. So I can't understand, but I just didn't know if Fabs could have got done for that, for holding up the pit lane. I'm not too sure. I really am not too sure at all. After that, though, it was great. So the safety car had come in, and we had confirmation that Scott McLaughlin had a 15-second time penalty for a safety car infringement, restart infringement. So what happened there is Anton De Pasquale was leading at the time. I can't remember who was behind him. Pretty sure it might have been Shane or Jamie, one of the Red Bull cars. James Courtney was behind him, and then Scott McLaughlin was behind him. So before the control line, Anton played this well. Every time when he was in front, or every time when there was a safety car throughout the weekend and Anton was leading, he did this so well. So there's a flag marshal part right at the start of the pit entry. And Anton, you'd see the green flags waving for the restart and whatever else, but Anton was just cruisy past, nice and easy. It was really, really good. And then he would like fly. So you'd see a lot of cars bunched up massively, and whether or not they got caught napping or not, I don't know, but they were really, really, really bunched up. So what happened with that was that when Anton took off and Jamie took off behind him, or whoever it was that was behind him, you had James Courtney, who either wheel spun or just didn't know what was happening, then took off, and then Scott McLaughlin pulls outside on the outside of him, and then passes him before the control line, obviously resulting in a 15-second time penalty for the restart infringement. So the control line is actually not where the finish line is. It's actually after the finish line, which I didn't think was normal. Usually it's either before or at the finish line, but it's not. It was after the finish line. So yeah, that resulted in him getting a 15-second time penalty, and I think he ended up finishing, where did he finish? I think it was 6th, but overall he finished 20th, so unfortunate for him. There was contact with Scott Pye and Lee Holsworth. I was not happy about that. Macaulay Jones spun by himself, just before the hairpin. Literally, just didn't even. I didn't even think he went wide. He just sort of cruised out, coming out of what is it, turn 5, and just took it a little bit too late. Dipped the rear left-hand wheel into the grass, and then just rotated. Obviously, taking him out of contention, screwed up his car, and the safety car came out again. And then after that was pretty much it, really. We had Anton De Pasquale win his first ever race ahead of James Courtney, who's just come back to Tickford after his hiatus with Team Sydney. Finally come back. He was quite emotional, saying that he felt bad for Will, with all the stuff with Will Davison starting the year and then not being able to finish the year, which was quite unfortunate. So he kind of, in a way, dedicated it to him, in a sense, for it. So hats off to James Courtney for doing that. And then Scott Pye ended up being third. So, like I said, midfield to, back runners being first. It was really, really, really good. It was a really good race. I highly enjoyed it. And if you do, I highly recommend watching it. Race 14 on Sunday, yesterday. It wasn't really much to talk about, and neither did race 15. They both really didn't show much stuff in it. Wasn't any safety cars, I don't think. No, there wasn't. But everyone played it safe. Everyone was really, really safe. By lap 6 and 9, everyone had pitted to do their tyre changes and whatever else. The only thing really that came out of race 14 was Fabian Coulthard pitted a lap before Scott McLaughlin, and Scotty came out, was leading the race. Potentially leading the race anyway. Scotty came in, and Fabs was coming down the main straight. Scotty went out, and Fabs was flying down the front straight away. It was crazy fast, and you could see him. It was Scotty's car was just getting wider and bigger and wider and bigger and bigger and bigger. Heading into turn 1, Scotty took it nice and easy, and Fabs just sort of locked his front left wheel and just skidded off, and that would have potentially given him podium. I'm pretty sure he did get a podium. Yeah, he did. He ended up getting third, but it screwed him over. He could have got better than third, because he was on a mad run in race 14. So he was going really, really well. Reynolds was the last one to pit with 11 to go, just handing the race back to McLaughlin, and then that's pretty much it. McLaughlin ended up winning ahead of Jamie Whincup and Fabian Coulthard, who finished third. So that was a pretty good race as well. It was very quick. Obviously, when you don't have these safety cars and there's not much to talk about, the race just feels like it goes for 5 seconds. Race 15, pretty much same thing. Same stuff. Everyone was playing it safe, except for Alex Davidson, who decided to put steroids in his car and ended up getting damage on lap 1 after contact with someone. I didn't really see who he made contact with, but I know he made contact with someone, and obviously it put him a lap down before the race even started. Some of the midfield runners pitted. Most exciting thing that came out of it was Waters and De Pasquale's rejoin. And then next lap was McLaughlin pits as Whincup rejoins and gets the undercut. So Whincup was on a really, really good strategy, and McLaughlin came out. They were saying that McLaughlin would come out in front of Whincup, but Whincup was just absolutely too quick for it and ended up getting the undercut and getting under him. It was quite interesting, that pit stop, actually, with Waters and De Pasquale. Everyone came in and then everyone was trying to get back out again. It was just crazy. Everyone, literally, there was like not even a mil or something between the cars. Obviously, with the 40-kilometre pit limiter button thingy, they were all just grouped up. It was so crazy. It was massively close on how close people could have gotten to get unsafe releases or whatever else, or maybe even contact or whatever. But everyone played their cards right, and everyone got out of the pits pretty good. Shane Van Gisbergen had a moment at turn 1, ended up going off the grass, but because he was in P2 and I think he was in front by like 7 or something seconds, he ended up rejoining and getting back on the grass. getting back on the grass, getting back on the track pretty easily, and ended up taking third place behind Scott McLaughlin. And Jamie Whincup ended up getting the round. He was equal points with Fabian Coulthard for the weekend at 228 points. 228 points between Whincup and Fabian Coulthard, but because it goes back on a countback, Jamie Whincup wins the round. So that was pretty much it, guys, for this weekend. Next weekend will be the same thing. I'm not sure who's sponsoring the event. Maybe it's Triple Crown again. I'm not too sure, but because we've already had the Triple Crown, we don't know. Just like how it was the Sydney Motorsport Park, and then the following week was the Truck Assist Sydney Motorsport Park thing, and yeah, it's just, I don't know who's sponsoring it this time, but yeah. But guys, leave your comments down, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to see more stuff. Next weekend is obviously again up at Darwin, so make sure you stay tuned on the Monday for that. Make sure you hit that notification button to let you know that the videos are going up. And guys, I shall see you all next week.